film taken during the actual experiment and hear what the presidents and workers had to say about it. The president of the Blazer Radar Company believed in freedom in the organization, watching the competition, and rewarding and encouraging cost-cutting innovations. The president of the Booker Radar Company believed in a highly organized business which he thought was safest when times get rough. He sought to eliminate confusion by defining all jobs. Each employee received a job description, duties and responsibilities, and an assigned seat, taking personal charge of all departments, an orderly flow of written information, minimizing employee interaction, protesting government demands that interfered with smooth operation. The president of the Balance Radar Company took pride in his personal popularity, which came from his beliefs that workers and the work group were the company's most important asset. All had a voice in decisions, and all were treated equally in an easy and informal atmosphere. Diversification is important, but not at the cost of good working relations, despite Defense Department demands. He should spend most of his time in the factory with his workers, taking a personal interest.
We here at Blazer really were thrilled when the government started putting the pressure on and asking for new products. We've been looking for some opportunity like this for some time. It gave us a chance to show what we really could do, and this is what we were looking for. It was exciting to work and know that our work was needed, and to know that we had to really put out.
The climate is good. It's nice. It's good to work and good to produce.
It gave us kind of a goal, and when we achieved it, it gave us so much satisfaction that we walked off very happy.
The great thing about being in product development in Blazer is the absolute freedom. We can just go up and get parts. We want to get this prototype model out, so we go up. We don't have a problem. We go over on the assembly line or some other place and just ask for a part.
Makes it much easier for us as managers when we're receiving recognition from the president of Blazer to pass it right down to the workers.
Really striving for it.
I've been trying to set goals for the men here at Blazer that were realistic, but challenging. And it's tough because every time I set a goal, these guys come up and beat it.
And we're doing better than the other companies, and basically it boils down to the fact that we've got to produce.
They meet every challenge I give them.
Also, just gives us the satisfaction to know that the Blazer Company is coming out. We're succeeding. We're coming out with A's right across the board. This is a combination of everyone's efforts. And it's a combination of the fact that part of it's the little innovation that I made, and part of it's what someone else did. But everyone has a part of this success. My contributions would be a D if I hadn't had a great idea.
This kind of direct and prompt, immediate feedback of how you're doing helps you set better goals. It helps you realize what's important in the job and what's not so important. And when you really have to put out 110%.
What I try to do is give my men and my managers the full story. We gave them as much competitive information as was available, and let them know how we were doing on specific contracts, how our profit and loss figures added up compared to the other businesses we were competing against. And this was real important. I guess in the end it all comes down to the fact that we were successful. We did try harder, and it paid off. We made good money.
With this increased war activity, the Defense Department expected us overnight to shift our product line. We got into some areas that we weren't at all familiar with. We didn't like this at all. Like I said, we had our procedures set up. Our production line was accustomed to doing certain kinds of items, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're expected to come up with new production methods. We were given outlandish delivery dates. It was just ridiculous. In order to meet the demands that were put on us, I had to set up even tighter controls than we had before.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of work to do here, and he's got a good setup to control the workers, and yet I can't really control them. And so, although I do have this job, it's funny that there's no challenge for a manager here. I just don't seem to be able to come to grips with what I ought to do.
I mean, the best way for people to get together and to iron out things is to talk. And, I mean, he never even talks to me. He hasn't had the guts to say what's wrong, and that's what I think.
I didn't like labor trying to get into the management side of the business, trying to tell us how to do our production control and how our methods should be arranged. We've got it right now on paper how they were supposed to do something, and they did it that way. And I'm convinced to this very moment, and I think I always will be, that that's the only way you can orderly run a shop.
And how do you submit a union request to a man who's determined to split us up and isolate us from each other?
And if they wanted to communicate a thought or idea or a request, they use a piece of paper and they address it.
I feel like I'm in kind of a trap here when I've got a problem, in that I can't really get to it effectively with the present setup of communication.
All I do is take bolt number 3 and stick it in hole number 4, and it goes on to some other guy, and so on and so on. And it doesn't, I can't feel any pride in my work.
But, gee whiz, there's only so much you can do for pay. You've got to have something else besides pay.
The best way to keep from getting fired at this job is just to sit there day after day and kind of tune out your whole senses and just do your job. Just don't think about it, don't question anything, don't complain, just sit there and do your job.
There's nothing new in the job. It's the same thing every day. Just watch for mistakes, write notes, double check. It gets boring.
I want central control in this operation. I don't want 50 people underneath me running this place. I'm the president, and I plan on running this shop. And when my days are over, I expect a new man to take over from me. A new man who will be an old man in the company.
I do find that different offices will push us sometimes, and try to get us to commit ourselves to deadlines which I think are unrealistic. But I try to put across to the government the kind of business we run, the way we do things here. And I guess they understand that. You can't push people into being creative.
I think it's because of George we set it all up. You feel like, you know, there's no pressure here, and we'll get the job done. If not today, tomorrow.
Well, we put on a company occasion, an outing or a picnic or even a party now and then. And we have more fun, I think.
Yeah.
Probably than anybody. We had a great evening the other night.
What were you drinking?
Oh, I don't want. We had real good spirit.
The only group I know that drinks champagne instead of beer at one of these things.
If I don't get it done that day, I wait for the next day and do it that day. I don't feel I have to finish it, you know, finish the work I'm working on the day I set it up or start it out.
Well, everybody gets along well. It's a fraternity almost.
Yeah, you feel you'd like to get the work done anyway because you don't want to let down the people you're working for. They're giving you the pleasant atmosphere. They're a nice company. You hope that the company will make a profit because you feel like you're part of it.
Over the years, I've found that we have a very great degree of, we have company loyalty. And occasionally, in times when things are tough, people will take their vacations at that time, and even if it's not convenient.
It makes a difference.
Emphasis on is having everybody participate in the decisions of the company. You participate. You're involved as far as scheduling, as far as some of the goals we want to set, even sometimes as far as the quality we think we can obtain. We try to have people involved in the decisions.
Oh, when my wife was in the hospital, everybody from the shop sent her a get well card, so it makes it very nice. It makes it a lot easier to work with these people. They care about you rather than be indifferent because they don't even know your name as you walk in or walk out.
You know, another thing that George loves to do, he lets us smoke on the job. You know, I like to smoke occasionally, and I don't particularly want to leave my place of work, so well, I just take a cigarette and smoke it right there and then.
There's only one problem with this type of company. It's that there is very little recognition for any individual work. You're part of a group rather than an individual, and everything is done in a group rather than individual achievement.
People are happy if they enjoy their work, if they're satisfied that our business runs very well. If they're not satisfied, we have problems. And somehow the business doesn't go so well. So, you know, we put emphasis on making the work really enjoyable. It's very important.
It's so easy to make friends because you get to chat as you work. A lot of other places you work, you don't ever know the person who works in the next office because you can't leave your desk. Here, you're wandering around trying to think of a new idea. You can relax by talking to somebody.
Why don't we go into our team session? Well, who would like to lead off? I noticed that Bob and Sam really haven't, kind of not exactly, well, not too friendly this week, last week, and if that's the way you want to put it. There's been a few comments passed, and I wonder if there's something we've got to bring out here.
Well, I didn't want to bring it up, but I don't know. I don't know.
It's not really anything.
You haven't been working together, though, too much.
Well, I've been working with the rest of the fellows here. Once in a while, you know, you feel like changing around once in a while. You don't have to stay with the same group all the time. I feel like doing one thing at one time, and he wants me to do that.
Well, it's true, isn't it, that the both of you have been going out with Marge here? And
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've had words, and it's like he thinks she's his property.
I don't think that this is exactly the place for, you know, this sort of discussion.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, this kind of thing...
I think it carries its togetherness a little too far.